Welcome to EPG Pathshala. In this module, we will be talking about DHCP and cellular IP. So, we will start with the DHCP, that is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. So, what basically the internet service providers are doing? Internet service providers are giving us the services and they are providing us the IP addresses. So, IP addresses, that is internet protocol addresses, are given to us. So, how these addresses are given to us, how the assignment of these addresses is done. So, that is taken care by TCP IP. So, TCP IP basically the configuration part is done, or on the server side configuration is to be done. So, for doing that configuration, TCP IP requires configuration for hardware, software and packets and all. So, for that configuration we require different protocols. So, one of the protocols in that is the BOOTP protocol. So, earlier that was used, that is BOOTP protocol. So, BOOTP protocol, after that BOOTP protocol we came across the DHCP protocol. So, the Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Basically things are moving dynamically right now. So, if I am using wireless devices, I am moving from one cell to another cell. So, I am moving from one place to another place, and when I am moving one place to another place, I want different IP addresses. So, if I need different IP addresses, then I have to see that how to assign those IP addresses. So, this particular module we will discuss what is DHCP and why we need it, and what is the format and how it has been assigned. And then end of the module we will talking about the cellular IP, that is cellular internet protocol. So, now we will start with the first one, that is introduction part. If we talk about each computer connected with the TCP IP network, so each require IP address. So, earlier what happened, the TCP IP configuration protocols, in that they came across bootstrap protocol, that is also called BOOTP. So, what this BOOTP was doing is, it was allowing the host machine to obtain all the information automatically during the startup process, and it is implemented, BOOTP was implemented with the help of UDP and used for Unix diskless workstation to get the location of the network to assign IP addresses. So, BOOTP is basically some network at that particular time embedded this protocol in their BIOS itself, BIOS of the network interface card, which allowed direct network booting. So, BOOTP protocol, some of the networks they have given in the BIOS itself. So, then we come across the next protocol. After BOOTP, there was a requirement for the dynamic allocation of IP addresses. So, for that the standard came across DHCP, that is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Basically what it is doing, it is giving on lease IP addresses. So, right now I am using one IP address, but once my work is over and I am moving from one location to other location, in that case that IP address is leased to some other device. So, DHCP is basically meant for leasing the IP addresses from one device to another device. So, now we talk about the need of dynamic configuration. So, ISP have continually changing set of customer. Now, the portable devices, portable laptops, computer, wireless connections make it possible to move computer from one place to another place. So, when my customer is moving from one location to another location, so I have to see in my network how to assign the IP address. So, for that IP address assignment, DHCP is used. So, most of the internet service providers, they are using this configuration, that is DHCP configuration, to assigning the IP. Basically they are giving that particular IP on lease for some time. Once my work is get over, then I can leave that line. So, now that IP address can be used by some other devices. So, basically Whenever any new computer is connected to the network, it sends the request to the server for an IP address. The server selects one of the address from the range of IP addresses available and assign the address to the computer based on the list provided by the ISP. So basically ISP is giving you the IP addresses and you are assigning that range of that IP addresses to the client which are part of your network. So basically DHCP is randomly assigning from that range only, or the range which is assigned to you. Now while we are talking about the how it is addresses assignment has been done, so basically there are 3 configuration which are available. The first we talk about the manual configuration. So what basically the manual configuration says that whenever an administration or manager wants to configure a specific address, that specific address is to be assigned to the connected device on the network. The second configuration is automatic. Automatic configuration, what it says that the manager or administrator will allow a DHCP server to assign a fixed address when a computer is attached to the network first time, and that address will be remain with that computer. So that is the second one, that is automatic configuration, and number of times we do the automatic configuration. Now the third category is the dynamic configuration, because we require dynamic configuration. Dynamic configuration is most of the time is done by for the devices or the machine which are in the moving nature. So in dynamic configuration method, an IP address is assigned to the machine for a short period of time. Based on the loan period, a server will assign an IP address. Dynamic IP addressing is most powerful aspect of DHCP. When a client contacts a DHCP server, the client sends an identifier, usually the client's hardware address. The server uses the client's identifier and the network to which the client has connected to determine how to assign the client an IP address. So what happened basically in the dynamic configuration, it is given as the IP address is given as a loan. So and on the client, particular client ID for a particular time, and once the time is over, that IP address can be detached from that particular client. So there are 3 classes which are used or configuration which are used. One is manual, that is done manually. The second is automatic. Once the machine becomes the part of the network, automatically IP address is assigned to it. And the third is the dynamic one. So it is basically used as a loan system, that if I am part of that particular network, I take on lease loan for some time, and then once I am out of that network, I am not going to use that, and basically DHCP server is going to manage all these things. So now we talk about the formats. So if we talk about DHCP message format, here on the screen you can see that there is total 32 bit. The first 8 bit are for op, the second 8 bit is for H type, the third is HLEN. So basically op is basically what operation we want to perform. There are 2 operations, either reply or request. So whether I am replying or I am requesting. So this H type is the hardware type, hardware length, and hops is basically a counter, which is we are using as a counter. Then we are having transaction identifier, seconds elapsed, flag, client IP address, your IP address, server IP address, router IP address, client hardware address, that is 16 octants, server host name 64 octant, then boot file name 128 octant, then options. So this is variable. This particular layer is completely variable in the message format. If we talk about one by one about all these things, what is transaction identifier, second, so we can see in the next slide. So what exactly is this? Now we talk about, as I told you, what is op. Op is basically specify whether we want to perform request or we want to reply. And if we talk about the H type, which is the second part, 8 bit are used for this, that is hardware type, 1 for Ethernet. Then HLEN, that is hardware length, 6 for Ethernet. then this is hops, initially it is 0 and server will increment hops count value. Transaction ID, basically unique integer ID is assigned to match reply with the request. So, the transaction ID is telling whether it is a reply or a request and it should match, okay, this is the request, the reply has been made to that particular request. Then the second is specify the number of seconds before the client computer started, how much time it is using the net. So, flags, it controls the server response via unicast or broadcast. Then client IP address. Client IP address, if it is known by the client and if the client IP address is not known by the client, then what it will do? It will go to your IP address. So, server return the client's IP address if previous field contain 0. If there is nothing in client IP address, then this particular, if there is 0 in that particular field, the server will return the client IP address here, your IP address. Now, there is the server IP address. So, what the server IP address is? Client specify the server IP address if server is specific. If server is specific, in that case only you know the server IP address. Then there is a router IP address of the router if it is known by the client machine. Then there is a client hardware address which is MAC address of the client machine specified by the client. This is the unique address which is assigned to the machine. Then there is a server host name. So, name of the specific server from where you are supposing a client or a customer is requesting and they want that the response should come from this. So, server host name is from which server I want the response. Then there is boot file name, that is client specifies the name of the booting file for small diskless machines and options are there as uses type, length, value, style, encoding. So, that is the optional field which is there in the message format. So, if we go back to the this message format, here now you understand 8-bit for operation, reply or request, then this 8-bit for hardware type, hardware length and hops. So, and identifier should matching with the reply and response, we require this and all these things. If this client IP address is having value 0, then this your IP address will come into picture and here is the server host name from where a client is wanting a response. So, if I want response from Gmail, so that means I have to go to the server of the Gmail. So, that basically the server host name should be happen here. So, this is all about the DHCP message format. Now, how the addresses is to be taken, DHCP is allocating the addresses stakes or there are different states which are there in the DHCP, that initially whenever I want an IP address, I am a customer, I am a client and I am using the device. If I am asking for any, I want to make any request for any resource or any IP address. So, there is a stack which is different states which are used. So, these next slide is showing this how the address acquisition states are there. So, we will start with the initialize. So, basically this is the initial time, it is 0. So, whenever any host is there, any client is there, initialization is there. So, what I will do is as a client, I will send a DHCP discover. So, what basically I am doing is I am finding out that what is the DHCP server is available nearby to me. So, that is the job of the discover. So, discover is basically the it will broadcast the discover and what this discover will do, it will find out the all the servers which are available nearby and you have to select one of them. So, once you discover all the servers DHCP server which are available nearby the local network, it is going to choose the one. The depending upon the availability, what here it will do in the select, it will choose one. It will choose one means here you can see this, the DHCP offer. So, basically whatever network you have recognized Out of that, one will be chosen. Once you choose that on which you have to use, which host, which server you have to use, then it will go to the DHCP offer. So now what is happening is, I got an IP address. So now I have to see the IP address availability. Now what the server will do, it will send DHCP offer message to the client machine. If all servers are busy, then client will not get any response. But if the client will be in the select state, so all the offers, when the client will be in the select state, so all the offers of the server can be viewed by the client, and if it finds feasibility, then send request to the server using DHCP request message type. So what basically it is doing, here it will send that DHCP request, so it will come in the request state. So the third state is the request state, that now I am waiting for the response from the server. Now once the server wants to find out, it will give a acknowledgement. This here you can see is the DHCP ACK, that is acknowledgement from DHCP confirming that request, and client will be in a bound state for the given period of time. So now the client is in the bound state. Once the request is accepted by the server, then it is in the bound state. Once it is in the bound state, what will happen, that after 50% of the lease line is expired, because now it gets on the client gets on lease line. So if the 50% of it is consumed, it will send a DHCP request to renew it, to renew again. So if it comes in the renew state, so if it is renewed, it will get a DHCP acknowledgement signal here, and if it is not approved, it will get DHCP not acknowledged, and it will again go to the initialize state. So if it is renewed, it is coming back here, and if it is not renewed, it will going to the initialize state again here, right. So what will happen, that after this, depending on the availability, IP check, DHCP acknowledge or DHCP not acknowledge message. If it is received DHCP acknowledgement, that means its time period is extended of the lease, and if it is getting not acknowledged, that means it is lease line is now, it is going to finish. So it from renew state, it has to go from the initial stage. Now after completion of 87.5% of this, then it is again request to rebind. So what will happen, DHCP request for extending the lease period, again the server will check the availability of IP addresses, and if the IP addresses are available, then of any client is server side, then server will give DHCP acknowledgement here. You can see here acknowledgement is given. So again it will from rebind, it will go to the rebound, and if it is giving DHCP NAK message, that means it is not acknowledged, then that means lease line is expired, and now it will again goes to initialize state. Once you are in the bound state, that means right now you are using the lease line. So if you, after completing 100% of the lease period, client will be in the initialize state again, and in between if the clients want to release the lease period or cancel the lease line. So there are two reasons, either the job is done, so 100% job is done, it's again coming in the initialized state, or if there is cancellation in between, the clients want to leave, then again it will come with the signal as DHCP release. So once this message to the server, so the state of bound will be changed into the initialize state. So after the first timer expires, the client can move into renew state. If a second timer expires before renewal state, then the client can move into the rebind state, and if the final timer expires before a lease has been renewed, then the client stops using the IP address and returns to the initial state to obtain a new IP address. So how the address acquisition state is working, it is from initialization, it is going to the select, from select it is going to the request, from request it is going to bound, and from bound it is going to the renew or it is going to rebind, and from renew it can also, if it is getting DHCP not acknowledgement signal, it will go to the initialized state. So, it is checking 50%, 87.5% and 100%, and in between if the client himself wants to release, then it can cancel release, and DHCP release signal is to be sent to the server, and it will again come to the initializer state. So, this is how DHCP addressing is taken care by at DHCP stack. So, here you have understood by this diagram that how basically the DHCP is assigning the IP addresses to the different clients dynamically. So, based on moving from one location to another location, if I want the dynamic IP of that particular network, it is dynamically, it has been assigned. So, availability of IP address will be there, and from that it will be assigned the client is sending a request, and based on the request, if DHCP server is having available IP addresses, it can be assigned to the client. So, this is basically the dynamic host configuration protocol. Now, we will talk about what is cellular IP. So, what is basically the already we have discussed first this how this is happening in these different slides, address acquisition state. Now, we talk about the cellular IP. So, when we talk about the cellular IP technology is improving day by day, and significant innovations are happening in the world for internet protocols such as voice over internet protocol, mobile IP, cellular IP, different IPs are available. So, what VoIP is used for sending communication, multimedia sessions over internet network. Mobile IP allows any mobile device user to move from one place to another by maintaining their permanent IP address. It is also suited for client-server mechanism where security is must. Cellular IP is a standard provided by Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF. It was first proposed in the year 2000, and then CIP is used to work with the wireless network where inter-network communication is possible. CIP can accommodate large number of users by maintaining distributed paging and routing caches. There is no need for new packet format, address allocation, and even for encapsulation because it is using mobile IP. There are basically the four fundamental design principles of cellular internet protocol, like location information is stored in distributed databases. Location information referring to a mobile host is created and updated by regular IP datagram. So, originated by said mobile host. Then location information is also stored as a soft state. So, basically the location management is ideal mobile host is separated from location management of the host. So, basically cellular IP is also managing the local locations. In the local location how the movement is to be done. So, cellular IP is basically using this. In this diagram here you can see that internet is there, here you can see internet, and these GWs are basically the gateways, and till here is a mobile IP. And when we are talking about the wireless access network, so wireless access network is here. So, each and every wireless network having local mobility and handoff. So, here you can see the local mobility and handoff. This is the part of cellular IP, but above to this is the part of the mobile IP. If we talk about the cellular IP, here you can see is the cell. This is one cell. If I am moving from one cell to another cell, so here you can see the communication. I can this is basically the local mobility, that I am moving in my own wireless access network, one cell to another cell we are moving. So, handoff will be there. So, handoff can be soft handoff and it can be hard handoff. So, a client machine wants wireless interface connection. So there is a mechanism which indicate the delivery of packet from one machine to another machine with high portability. So there are basically two mechanisms here which are used. One is soft, semi-soft handover and one is hard handover. So basically handover in cellular IP is basically two categories, hard handover and semi-soft. So during the handover mechanism, quality of signal matters. So basically what happen when we talk about the hard handover? So what will happen in the hard handover? If I am moving from one cell to another cell, and between the cell if there are network signal loss. So for some period of time I am not in any network. So that type of handover is called hard handover, because I am not in the network, signals are not there between two cells. So if the signal loss is there in between, that type of handover is called hard handover. But if signals are there, I am moving one cell to another cell, and if signals are there, that is called soft handover, semi-soft handover. So basically we always prefer to go for the semi-soft handover, so that the connection loss will not be there. So basically cellular IP is providing us the local mobility, and the local mobility, how the handoff is taken care, whether we are using we are having hard handover, which we never prefer, or we are having semi-soft handover, which we always prefer, so that network loss will not be there. There is some overlapping of the signals should be there. So if we see in this particular slide that wireless access network is having local mobility and handoff, and here BTS is there, and here these are the cells available, and these cells are communicating with with each other. We are moving from one cell to another cell to another cell, and we always prefer to have a semi-soft handover to this. So cellular IP can interwork with mobile IP. So here cellular IP is there and now mobile IP is there. So we always want they go in hand, cellular IP and mobile IP, to support wide area mobility. That is possible with the help of mobile IP. So now here these are the client machine wants wireless internet connection, so changing frequently, and we always want delivery of packet should be fine. So already I had talked about the cellular IP hard handover, semi-soft handover. We always go for the semi-soft handover method, because we don't want the quality of signal should be not there. So signal should be there and the connectivity should not be lost. So in summary we can say that DHCP is basically your dynamic host configuration protocol, which is always required for those networks where number of IP addresses is limited and host machine are in scale in and scale out, means they are coming in, they are moving out. So whenever we are having such type of network, we always want to use DHCP, because they are supporting the mobility, and based on the range of the IP addresses available with the DHCP server, the IP address can be assigned as a lease line and then it can be released based on the requirement. So that is basically the DHCP work. Now to use DHCP, a host machine become client in the network, and client starts 3 timers after obtaining an IP address from the server, and DHCP can be used in the multiple subnets. If we talk about the cellular IP, so cellular IP can work with all mobile IP networks that supports wireless communication, and CIP can accommodate large number of users by maintaining distributed paging and routing caches. So what we can say is cellular IP is giving us the local mobility. So local mobility is given by CIP, and to get the wider range of mobility, it has to work with the mobile IP with the help of gateway, and it is connected to the internet and for wider mobility. So in nutshell we can say DHCP is required for dynamic host configuration protocol, for dynamic assigning the IP addresses, and cellular IP is used for interacting in the local mobility and handover mechanism, and which are always used hand in hand with the mobile IP. So, this is what we have learned from this module is DHCP is must, because we are using mobile devices, and for mobile devices usage we require, if you want to use internet and all, we require DHCP. And we also discussed the cellular IP, we have discussed the format, message format of DHCP, what type of different states are available, from initialization to select, select to request, request to bound, bound to you are having renew, renew to rebind, and again bound, or you are again going to the initializer state. And also we have seen in cellular IP that local cell to cell movement, how the handoff has been taken place, whether it is a hard or semi soft, but we always prefer that signal quality should be good. So, we can have the semi soft handoffs. So, this is all about this module. Thanks for visiting EPG Pathshala. Thank you.